my barrette. Great timing.
Still a,
Yes.
you know, I always feel like I should have gone into the restroom and, you know,
Primped.
put
Makeup.
makeup and lipstick and
maybe.
random whatevers because I always look so pale and half dead on. I don't bother with that stuff. I mean, I'm going to cover all my face up with a mask. Why bother?
Yeah.
Well, you guys are totally worth the bother.
Yes.
Right?
Totally.
Totally worth the bother.
We probably should move that because as soon as we touch this, it'll go like that.
Like,
it's okay.
What was in there?
I think that's my little light. It's over here.
Oops.
Right?
That's what. Wait, I'm.
It came free with my stand.
Oh.
I got a little light that you're supposed to put over the camera, but I don't usually use the facing camera, so it doesn't work.
Doesn't really help much. No. So
we're in a different location at this door today.
We keep looking for new things. So this is our beautiful foot wall.
Those are serger feet behind us.
Those do happen to be, except the blue ones, right there.
Oh, so
much
weird.
Challenge.
Yes. So it's Tuesday again,
Yes,
Lisa.
Tuesday.
It's the after Thanksgiving.
Yes.
I had some really great days off. Thank you.
Yeah. I didn't. No, just kidding. Meaning I didn't have days off. My days were fine. I just didn't take them off. So I'm glad you had a restful weekend. You actually got to use an oven.
I did.
You didn't have to order out for Thanksgiving this year.
For just Steve and I. So it was kind of weird, but it was nice and quiet. And as I'm sure most people had a different quiet.
We did. Ours was very quiet. And I almost bought a turkey breast, but then I was like, let's just be different. So I bought a ham. So my dad, you know, I sent the whole text, you know, with the little gifts and whatnot of, you know, happy Thanksgiving to everybody. And he replied back, gobble, gobble. I replied back, boink, boink, because I was having pig. So
that's what we usually have because I'm not really a turkey fan.
It's not my favorite. I prefer ham, but it was more I haven't. That's what they had. You know, it was either like massive turkey or no turkey.
Right.
Well, I wasn't going with the whole massive thing.
It's really quiet. Shoot.
Hi, Dad. Hi, Dad.
I
was just thinking that. I'm like, nobody's.
I can see that people are watching, but it's quiet. You can all hear us, right?
Right. So
we're not blurry today.
I mean, I know we do talk to ourselves occasionally, but that's like crazy. 45 minutes of talking to oneself is a little scary.
It's like when I teach a class and everybody blinks their screens.
Yes, no video, and you're like, I'm literally talking to myself.
Right. There is a weird glare on my glasses today, so I'll just take them off.
I already took mine off.
I see that.
So we got a couple things to show you today. Oh, there we are. Hi, Pam. Yes, we can hear you.
Good.
Hello, Miss Karen. Is this the fourth time I've talked to you today? Yeah. By the way, Karen, I did email him. I have not heard back yet, so I will follow up on that as soon as I have an answer. So, yeah, it was an interesting weekend. We stayed pretty busy. I honestly thought yesterday might be a little slower because, you know, there was the whole winter storm warning and everything. And that was not really the case.
Yeah.
So the mail lady, I ran into her when I went down to buy lunch, and it totally looks like I pointed to the bathroom to go buy lunch, but that's kind of weird. And she was like, well, didn't you get the change? I'm like, well, I checked it before I left my house this morning to go to work, but once I left for work, you know, couldn't change my clothes. And she started laughing. She was like, yeah, I guess that's true. But she said it wasn't supposed to be quite as bad. Hi, Mom. Hi, Mary. Different Mary. Two Marys.
Yes.
So yeah, we've got a couple things to show you. And then last week, we talked about, somebody had asked about patches. So we really briefly talked about those. We're actually going to show you how to use your embroidery machine today, and using the different tools that are built into the machine to actually make that happen. So very cool. Depending upon what machine you have a couple different options. But
yeah, we're showing it on our top end machine, but the features that we're showing
are available
on lots of different machines.
Multiple different ones.
Those shapes are on
everything.
Are
so
they on the 4x4? Yeah. Okay.
I do believe they are.
I couldn't remember, but I know 5x7 and up for sure.
They absolutely are. So
probably for quite a while. That's not.
It has been a thing since they had the editing on screen. It's been even down on that 4x4 machine because we can edit. So, you know, how cool was that?
Yep.
And then we've got a couple tools. So we haven't really gotten any new fabric. Well, Sarah got a whole bolt of fabric, but she's taking it all home. Oh, but this is new. So very important. You guys know I like to, oh, there we go,
There we go.
play with the scan and cut. So we thought it only appropriate that we were as important as Leno and
All of those other
they
people.
have the, you know, late night with, we have Tuesdays with.
Yes.
And so, cheers. Next week we'll have an add-on on that one too.
Yeah. We ran out of
I
time.
ran out of time. It's always something, right? It is just like, oh, we got plenty of time. And then all of a sudden we don't.
Yeah.
And here we are. So.
Yes, Holly, your son was super polite and very, very nice. Yes, no worries.
He didn't buy you anything though.
Mm-mm.
What's in our cup?
Not
Wouldn't
telling.
you like to know?
It's a secret from the non-drinkers.
That's big secret. Caffeine is in our cup. Maybe with a dash of this and a dash of that, but I blew mine out before I put beverage in it. Did you do anything to yours?
No, I just put my beverage in.
Just straight out of the box, knocking it back.
Right.
It's kind of like out of a brown paper bag.
Right.
Who cares, right?
Living dangerous.
But they weren't in the bathroom.
This is true. This is true. So we are funny about that.
We both, you know, so this is an interesting shop. You know, we don't have an actual kitchen here. So the one bathroom has a little bit more of a kitchen sink that is deeper so you can rinse and clean and so on and so forth. And, you know, they keep dishes in the bathroom. And both of us are a little wigged out by that. We just don't want to eat bathroom dishes off the bathroom dishes. You know, the toilet's flushed in there. But anyway,
Yeah.
So
So there you
these
go.
aren't restroom cups. These
These are
are
not restroom
non-restroom cups. It's just, I don't know. Are we weird? I think we're normal on
No,
that.
I think we're
I
totally
think
normal.
everybody else is weird.
Yes.
So that's the whole thing.
I don't think normal people keep kitchen stuff in the bathroom unless they don't have a kitchen. And in that
I
instance,
might have heard a rumor about someone eating cake in the bathroom,
maybe. It's
but
not me.
it is not her, as a matter of fact. But I mean, I have taken a nice leisurely bath and maybe had cheese and crackers or something on a plate.
I can eat in the bathtub,
But
I don't eat off of the things that stay
in the bathroom. Mm-mm.
Yeah, that
No.
wouldn't be. I wouldn't hang out with the cheese and crackers there.
No,
They want to try paper plates, but what if you drop the paper plate
right
in the bathtub? That would be really bad. Why are we talking
I
about
have
the
no
bathtub
idea.
in our?
We really do
We
get
really
on
got
those
off
tangents.
topic.
Too.
Oh
But
my
thanks,
gosh.
Dad. That was a great tip. Maybe
Yes,
we'll try.
We'll try that.
We'll try that.
Yes.
So it's between that and, you know, the real silverware, paper plates and plastic silverware. Trying to cut some things, we have literally snapped off silverware in
How
our
can there
meals.
be so many different types of plastic silverware? There's really crappy plastic
There's
silverware
really,
out
and unfortunately, we have access to quite a bit of it.
there, right? You put
So
it in and you
go to cut, and the tongs literally like bend up and funk. Oh my gosh!
or end up in your food.
Or end up in the food, and you have, you know, a fork that
Yeah.
looks like this.
Spork.
Spork.
No, it's a spork.
It's now a spork, which I could use to eat my yogurt.
Right. Lisa
I
tried
have-
to eat her yogurt.
Have been known to eat yogurt with
With a
not spoons because I
fork and
couldn't
knife.
find one. There's some in that bathroom cupboard, but
Mhm.
I'm not willing to eat off that spoon. Okay,
No.
enough.
Enough about. We're done with
We're,
that.
we're done with that. So what do we have to show you today? We're going to talk about patches. So let's talk about some product that you can use for patches. So patches are actually a pretty simple thing. Stabilizer can be multiple different things. It depends on what you want to use. If you are looking to be as economical as possible, you can certainly use the tearaways, which is going to be a much cheaper option, much less expensive. I don't mean cheaper as in poor product, just less expensive.
Right.
And then, hi, Michelle. And then there's, of course, the water soluble, which is a very easy piece to do. And rather than having the leftover edges, which we did talk about last week, you can, you know, just
wash
get
that
your
away.
finger wet and doop,
Mhm.
and it goes right away. And so you have a nice clean edge right away instead of having to wait for it to wear its way down.
Right.
Or find your
Sharpie
magic
it.
marker and Sharpie the edges or whatever it
Right.
happens to be. So, well, once you have the patch made, then it's like, okay, now what? So depending upon what you would like to do, you can put fabric on the back so that there is actually a backing that
that you don't
you
see
can't see the stitches, but of course, what's the point? So
Right.
that does kind of depend on, you know, are you selling them to where you want it to look nice and clean? What's a little bit more fabric? It makes it nice and clean edges, or just let it go.
I would
But
let it go.
I let it go. So I certainly have made my fair share of patches. I don't necessarily make them on the machine like we're going to show you today, because I generally am making
Multiples.
specifically digitized for some things,
Mhm.
so they're not as easy to do on the machine. So I use my software, but we're going to show you how actually easy it is to build something,
Turn something that
turn
maybe
something that maybe
wasn't
shouldn't have
originally
been.
designed.
Absolutely. So you want to talk about this?
Yeah. So this is wow.
Okay, it's here. We'll just.
I was gonna. Never mind. There we go.
There we go.
Fuse and Seal. This is a product that is designed to go on your patch after you've created the patch. So you know, if you're trying to put a patch in, wow, everything is going to sound so wrong when it comes out. So when you're trying to put a patch in a hard to get to place, so I'm knocking things over here myself. Getting a little excited.
Hey,
You can't always sew it. So, you know, sometimes the place that you want to put the patch is in a place that's just uneasy to get to.
Right.
So you need a product that is designed to be permanent and fusible. And so that's what Fuse and Seal is.
Yep.
This is a heat activated bond that is permanent. So, and it's non-sewable. So what that means is if you are putting it in a place and you are thinking that you are going to stitch it, don't
use
so this is not designed to go through the
You're
needle
not
of your
stitching
machine.
through this. The adhesives are not that kind of adhesive.
This is just, I'm making a patch for someone and they're going to fuse it on. You want a permanent seal, and you are not going to go through your sewing machine and stitch it on afterwards.
So a really great example are like what I'm doing actually.
Yeah.
So letter jackets. When I was in school, they actually gave you, when you won like your league or whatever, if you were the champions, you got a little patch to put on the jacket. And evidently they don't do that anymore, and they haven't, or maybe that's just our district. I don't know. But years ago, I started making patches for the swim team in Milan. They've been the Huron League champions for, I believe this is 21 years in a row. And so when my daughter was a senior, I made them as a gift for all of them there. And they put them, you know, right there, which makes perfect sense. You can get to that, not with too much trouble. You can sew that on, no problem. And then they called and said, hey, could you make us some the next year? So I made them again for the next year, and they went right below that. And so now we're between the shoulder and the elbow, still in a reachable area, but kind of difficult to actually sew. So they just asked me to make them for the last 2 years because they forgot to call me last year. And so now we're literally going to be here and here on those arms. I mean, I suppose but their ears are on the other arm. So, I mean, there's really nowhere else to put them. So you just can't sew that area.
You have to take the whole
You would literally
sleeve.
have to take those seams out. So that is something to consider depending upon where they're going to be applied, whether you need to supply an adhesive or whether you're just going to say they can sew it on. So not to mention hand sewing would suck because leather, yuck.
Yeah.
So don't want to do that either. Hi, Kelly.
And
Connie missed that one. She just popped right on there. So patches are a lot of fun. You can do a lot. So patches are also really great to put something somewhere that you can't get to. So for instance, the sleeves or a cuff, boots, shoes, things like that. You can decorate literally all kinds of things with patches. And this would be a great way. If you can't sew in the hoop, maybe you can't sew it on either. So these would be really ideal for situations like that. So lots and lots of fun ways that you can use them. Holly, we are going to talk about that when I get in there. Her question was about patches. Things seem to be out of order. So I'm going to explain that when we get into that area. So do you want to talk about this other thing, or you want to do that after we get, there's like an eyelash in my eye. Sorry, guys.
So we get asked all the time about like what kind of stabilizer do you recommend? How do you do this? How do you do that? So one of the things that, I'm a gadget girl, so who doesn't like a good gadget, right? So this is called the embroiderer's compass. And if you came to our embroidery stabilizer class,
event class thing,
you got one of these for free.
It was in your gift bag.
And you may have forgotten that it's in there, so this is a reminder to get it out.
Go get it out.
But this tells you, so it's called the embroiderer's compass. And it tells you a lot of information about the stabilizer, the needle. And so what you do is you just turn. Yep, you just turn it, and there's like a little
there's different sections. I can't.
Yeah, there's little holes inside. So I'm gonna just, while you hold it up, it's on both sides.
Okay.
So there's a little hole at the top where it says stabilizers, and then there's one down here where it says needles, and the information that's in there changes as you move this around. And then the fabric type is along the top.
We've got fleece, faux fur, sweatshirts, caps. I don't know if it says the same thing.
It probably doesn't.
That's probably, nope, it does not. So sorry. That's what it said on my side. So you just turn that, you're like, huh? So you turn your fabric to match up with the arrow, and then all of the other information would flow to tell you what it would be a recommended needle and stabilizer to use for those projects.
So if you have an embroiderer who's a friend, that's a great gift to give. If you like to give yourself a gift, it's a great gift to receive. So we have them here. They are $19.99, so it's an inexpensive, under $20 kind of gift that really can help you with a ton of it takes the guesswork out. It gives you a lot of
and that's
information.
The thing we probably get at. Well, what do I use for this? And fill in the blank. And we get asked that all the time. So we're always happy to help and answer the questions whenever we are here. But I know that I sew at night after I leave work. I'm guessing a lot of you do as well. So it's
it's like having sort of a Google at your fingertips without needing to Google it.
Exactly.
And get, because it's on the internet, it's true answers.
Caitlin's watching. Hi, Caitlin. Hi, Dad. Well, remind me not to talk about anything for either of them.
For Christmas. There you go. Kathy said, do you suggest a patch versus just embroidering a logo on a shirt? That's a really good question. So we probably both have different answers. They probably all both stem from the thing. So depends on the logo and where it's going and the type of material that it's being
the type
put
of material, I think, is a lot of us really struggle. The dry wicking stuff that's out there these days can be very, very difficult to embroider directly on and get a really good result. It's challenging. So, we all have our whatever things that we've done to make that work. But, those kinds of things would certainly probably be beneficial to create the patch and then just adhere that on instead of attempt to do all of that. I think that quality wise, from a business standpoint, you're going to probably have a better looking piece if you embroider directly on the shirt, personally, for most things. Not always. It just depends on, again, what the fabric is.
Right.
So,
I mean, and if you think about it, like, you go to a lot of places, the tire shop, places like that, those are patches.
They are, because they buy the patch and then they just replace the shirt and
right.
And
a lot of times those, because they're going on a left chest or something like that, are sewn on and not fused on. So the pro is that the patch or your name or whatever can be put on other things later on.
Because I need a new shirt. I got an oil stain on the front of this one or whatever.
That patch usually lasts a really long time because it's usually made on some probably
Karen wants those
higher standard or a thicker type of material. So it will hold up longer.
Yeah. It's just a matter of I always say this, and I know I repeat myself, but what is the end game? What is it that they want to be able to use it for? And if it needs to be able to be moved, then of course stitching directly into the shirt doesn't really help. So patches can be a really great way to get around those kinds of things. And again, sometimes the fabric is just really hard to work with.
Sometimes it is, yeah. So it's a nice way to get around it. For like that dry wicking stuff, but the same thing, sometimes, people give you something that is not like super expensive, and you're like,
I'm not sewing on that.
Right? If I wreck this is like $100 shirt, oh my God. And people want
even Carhartt jackets or something like that, you're just kind of like,
Yep.
Hello.
Hayden. Do you want
How's
to say hi?
Hayden?
Sure.
Yeah.
He's just manning a machine around.
Yeah.
So he,
Hi.
Oh, whoa, wrong side.
Isn't that
Whoa.
weird? It's kind of awkward, isn't
It's
it?
very awkward.
Yeah, it dawned on me. I'm like, I'm on the wrong side. Yeah, it that was a while ago. Now I'm just used to not knowing where
That's
I'm at
why
anymore.
we're always like, wait, we're
Which
pointing
point?
and it's like telling us that we're going to the back. Yeah. It's so
Yeah, he came in on the wrong side of the screen. He was like, what just happened?
I need to re-enter from Sarah's side.
Re-enter. You can do that on the way back. Okay.
Oh.
All right. So, Karen, we will absolutely set that aside. So, no problem.
Yep. So I think you want to get to showing the fun
Yeah,
stuff. All right.
absolutely. It's a little bit longer because there's going to be two different ways that we're going to talk about these options. And again, depending upon what machine you have is going to depend on which option that you have on your machine. So we're going to switch cameras here.
So Pam, after we are done showing, we'll talk about different types of base fabrics. So just hang in there. I'm gonna switch.
Sure she is. Look at that. All right. So here we have, like I said, or actually Sarah said, this is the Luminaire screen. It's a lot easier to show you guys when the screen is larger. It's not because this is the only machine we sell on here, though. We probably both do kind of gravitate to it. But this was more for the ease of you guys being able to see on a larger screen what the options are.
Is that okay for you?
So far, I'm
Okay.
good. So if
All right.
not, I'll make her do it because she's on the other side. But we're going to go into our embroidery. Is this not going to work on the screen? I would be so depressed if that. I don't think it's going to work on the screen because it's the Luminaire. Okay, you guys are stuck with my fat fingers being in the way. All right. So over here, we have the shapes tool. In that shapes tool, we've got lots of different options, and everybody has a shapes tool. So in here, the first one that's going to pop up is number 1, which is your circles. Down below that, you actually have multiple different stitch options for each of those shapes. So if you wanted to make a patch for soccer and it wanted to be a shield shape because that looked more appropriate on that uniform or whatever it happened to be, you have those as well. The two that we're really going to look at are number 10, which is a straight stitch, and number 2, which is the satin stitch. So for building a patch, you're basically doing the 3 steps just like you would for an applique. You need to know how big your fabric is. You need to be able to cut around that fabric, and you need to be able to satin stitch around the outside edge of said fabric. So depending on what you're building, you can certainly do things in some different orders. Do you have a different opinion on that?
Nope. I think that's exactly what I would do.
Okay. So the first thing that I need to do is I need to designate how large of a area that I'm going to use. If I have my design all set, I certainly can bring that in first because I need to build the patch around that design. So I'm going to come in here and we're just going to grab something, though honestly, there's like no small designs on this machine. Do you know where a small design is? I didn't prepare this part.
Maybe 11.
Let's see.
Pick something that isn't already a patch.
Pick something.
Or
How about a
applique.
tree?
That's
That'll
small.
work. Oh, we're still on millimeters. We have to, oops, no, cancel. Wrong button.
So this is how easy it is to change your machine from inches to millimeters or
I-
millimeters to inches.
I'm an American. I don't know millimeters. I was born in the USA. Okay. So we have this beautiful little tree and I want to put that on a patch.
Mhm.
So I need to build my shape to go around that, whatever it happens to be. So even all the way down to our 4x4 machines, there are some older 4x4 and 5x7 machines that do not have this button, but anything relatively new will have it, no matter the size of your machine. When we hit add, it takes us back to our main embroidery homepage. So now I'm going to go back into my shapes. Let's just do that shield just for the heck of it. And we can pick that. I need to do a straight stitch. So you can see there, it's not quite large enough for what I need to end up, but I still need to set it to the screen so that I can then edit it. Just like everything else, when we are editing something, whatever has the red box around it is what that we are actually going to work on. So I'm sorry, I'm reaching across the screen there. We are on our edit and I'm going to go into my sizes and I'm going to make that bigger so that it's around that.
Touch that side for you too.
Sarah's making me do this from the wrong side. So you guys, just so you know, I'm working really hard for this.
You'd be like that old, there was that show where this one was talking and the guy was pointing.
Right? All right. So let's see. Still pretty good.
Yep.
I was trying to get to like a good number so I can match that the next time, but I just can't get to an even number.
No.
So what I'm looking for here, I have a 4.27 by 4.39. That is the size of that shape. I need to repeat that. So earlier, Holly asked a question about the order. So right now, the way that this is going to stitch out is the tree is going to stitch first, and then it's going to stitch this shield shape around it, which in my opinion is actually the better way to go. So the reason why is because any of the push and the pull that's going to happen, any of that pulling of the fabric is going to happen as you're stitching it, so that you'll end up with a nice smooth outside edge instead of maybe an area that's not completely covered because the fabric has pulled in from the stitching. So if we were to cut that shield out first and then stitch the tree, it could actually pull it in. And when we go to add in our last stitch, it wouldn't necessarily match up. So it is better to stitch the tree first and then the shield. Do you agree?
I agree.
Okay. So that means that's the way y'all have to do it because we actually both agree on it. No, I'm just kidding.
Yep.
Okay.
It's the law.
So it is the law of SnL. Okay. So we've got the shield here. So that is where I'm going to remove the excess. So how do I remove that excess? Well, hopefully we've planned a little bit before we've put the stuff in the hoop, whatever that happens to be, tear away or wash away. And we don't want to have our fabric in the hoop because it's really hard to remove fabric when it's inside of the hoop. So we're just going to have that on top. If you are more comfortable with the sticky, guess what? That will still work. So you certainly can do that, or you can just lay that on top and the stitch will be there. The tear away stabilizer is generally going to be more than enough for stitch count and holding that, so you're not going to get any issues from there. So either your water soluble or your tear away should maintain a good stitch quality.
So in case people are confused, we're kind of doing this like an applique.
Yep.
So if you're wondering why we're cutting this away, and so that's why, because we're kind of it's sort of like a reverse applique.
Yep.
We're cutting away the excess fabric instead of putting fabric inside.
Right. So what we're going to do is we're going to, one, hoop our stabilizer only in the hoop.
Yes.
Number two, we're going to just lay our fabric, whatever that happens to be. And I see that there are some questions as to what types of fabric and things are better. So we can talk about that in just a few minutes. And then we're going to stitch on that fabric. So that would be number three. We're going to stitch the tree. Then we're going to have this, and it's going to tell us what is the excess. So can we do more than one patch in the hoop? Absolutely. You're going to just want your fabric to overlay the whole hoop. So I could actually have 6 or 8, whatever in there. All of the trees would stitch, and then all of the shields pieces would stitch as well. So I have all of the information that I need. And since I have to make 50 of these patches, I can certainly do more than one in a hoop at the same time.
Because
so,
everybody does 50 at a time.
Totally. They are not all going to fit. Even in my big monster hoop, I can't get 50 in there.
You would totally try, though.
I would totally try. I'll get as many as I possibly can. All right. So at this point, we know where we're going to remove the fabric. So in my stitch out, that's where I would be. But then I have another step afterwards. In a typical applique, you're going to have a placement line, then the tack down line, which you would trim after the tack down. We don't actually need that here because we already have the fabric on there. So I'm not going to add an additional shield straight stitch, which would act as my tack down line, because I've actually already done that. Sorry if that confused anybody, but you actually don't need all 3 of those steps. So similar to applique, but not exactly like an applique. So from here, I need to go back and hit that lovely add button again. From here, I'm going to go back into my shape, and I'm going to go back to the shield. This time I want the satin stitch. So I'm going to literally satin stitch around right on top of the line that I previously had. So I select that satin stitch and I set it to the screen. So now I need to make that the same size as my original. So I'm going to edit. You'll notice that my box is around the smaller one in there, not the outside. So when I, oops, don't hit that. When I hit, touch screens are very touchy, aren't they?
When
so,
you don't want them to be.
so I don't have to reach across. If you could just make that bigger for me, we need to reach that 4.27, which looks pretty darn close there. So, all right, so we are now right on top of, because that 4.27 and 4.39 was the previous size. So we have everything that we possibly need. at this point in my stitch out, so when I'm all done, I am literally going to be stitching that, and I will have a beautiful satin edge on the outside of my patch. One thing that is important with that patch, if I want backing fabric, I need to place that before I do the satin stitch. But as Sarah and I both said, neither of us would bother to do that.
Right.
So it's just an extra piece of fabric you're basically giving away for no reason.
Unless you are making these into ornaments instead of
Sure,
patches.
of course. Which this is a great way to make an ornament. I could actually make a little circle and make a little holder, if you will. So a hang tag kind of thing. Because guess what? We have shapes. we can do anything. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and go forward so you can see what the steps would be in the embroidery stitch out. So over here, you see we have the white, which is the trunk of, this is a tree, right?
I think so.
I think it's a tree.
It's a palm tree.
It's a palm tree. It's a really babyish palm tree, but it's a palm tree. So we have the trunk of the tree, and then we have the accents that are on the tree, and then we have the palm leaves, if you will, there in the green. Once we have that, it's going to do the first, let me jump forward here. So you can see when we are on this stitch here, it's going to just do that straight stitch, which tells us where to remove the excess fabric. Once we've stitched that, it's going to go to that last one, which is the satin stitch. And we have a beautifully created patch, ornament, whatever the heck you want, freestanding item.
Right.
Okay.
So this is something that anybody who has shapes can do. You have to, of course, make sure that you're staying inside your hoop. So if you had a 4x4 hoop, this would be just
a little too big. This would be a monster patch.
This would be a big patch.
This is a big patch.
You'd have to be careful where you place this patch.
We're not going to go to odd placement patches. You guys can just imagine that one all on your own.
Yes.
So I see the so I'm guessing that means, Holly, you understand now what I was talking about with the order. So I'm going to go now and we're going to recreate all of this by using the applique feature in the machines. Now this feature, not everyone has, but quite a few of you actually do. It's in quite a few machines, and it is really, really nice. Of course, we're on the Luminaire. So of course, this beautiful machine that we sew on has that. And I really wish this worked. I never even dawned on me. This is the wrong touch screen for that. It was a great idea.
It was. It didn't dawn on me too.
Nope. Until I went and did it. I was like, that's not working. All right. So I am going to go back in there. I'm going to grab that same little tree because I know it's little and it's going to work. All right. So there is my beauty little tree. And I want to make that an applique. So applique, same thing. What we just did. And the machines that have this button, it's literally like a magic button. It is absolutely wonderful. It's this little shield right here. So that's part of the reason that I always select a shield when I'm showing somebody this, because hopefully then their mental, oh yeah, shield. I remember we did that in the sample. So this shield is the applique button on all of the machines. That's what it looks like. If you have a scan and cut, it is the exact same button that is in there to use for your applique pieces in there as well.
Thank you, brother.
Right? I love, that is one of the things I absolutely love about these machines. These are not the only brands of machines I've ever embroidered on, but they are the easiest by far. It is just, everything just makes sense. It's so much fun. So we're going to go ahead and tap that. So you can see here that I have the ability to literally outline around my patch. So, or my design, excuse me. Right here, I have a distance. It is the default distance around there. This is really cool. This is where you get those different shaped pieces. Now, if I wanted the shield, all I would have to do is bring in my tree, bring in the shield, and then I could place this applique line right on that shape. So it would create that for me. This function here actually outlines the shape of whatever you have on screen. So we have a palm tree looking applique patch. I can change the distance from the design. So what that's going to do, I guess I have to keep touching it. That's not one of those hold down and go buttons.
It was a good try though.
I thought so. Thank you. All right. So you can see I've drastically increased the amount that we have from that design, which is really, really great. When I hit OK, it comes right on the main screen. I can see there's my tree and there is then the applique steps. So what Holly was talking about is when she comes in here, she was confused why we would have these after stitching the design, if I understood the question right. And that's actually a question I get all the time. So this comes back to the, you don't want to have a outside edge of your patch or applique that doesn't hold within that pulls in because we've done that stitching and it's kind of absorbed the fabric and pulled it in. So we're going to stitch the 3 steps of the tree again, and then the applique button automatically adds this shape. I'm going to go ahead and jump forward again so you guys can see the shape that it's created. So there you can see here that that is the straight stitch that is underneath there. This would be our placement line from an applique perspective. If you are putting a back on for something, this would be where you need to place that backing fabric. Here we have the tack down line. So it's going to tack down the front and show you where to cut. Also, if you do have that backing fabric, it will show you where to cut on the back of the hoop as well. And then last but not least, we have that beautiful satin stitch that's going to go around the edge and cover up your raw edge. In the settings of the machines that have this ability, there is a setting somewhere in here in these random pages, because there's so many. You know, I'll try them all because it'll be the last one, right? Did I miss it? Oh, you know what? It's on the screen on this one. On the other machines, you have to, no, you have to change this, the size doesn't change on screen.
Oh.
On the older machines, you have to come in here to adjust the distance from your applique. Like there's a button in here, but it's not on this one. They skipped that step. So I apologize. I just confused everybody all over again. On an older machine, instead of being able to change that distance from my design right on screen, you have to go in your settings to do that.
Okay.
So I apologize. I'm so used to that. I was going to do it anyway. So that is then the quote unquote simple way to do that. Just in case anybody's confused by, okay, so I don't want it. I wanted that shield side. I'm going to delete.
Let's delete the whole thing and show them how to do that.
Yep. So we're going to go and we're going to grab that one more time. And there's that cute little tree. And we set that to the screen. Now I want to add my shield so that I have the size that I would like and the outside line to what I would like to use for that applique button. If I just hit the applique button right now, it's going to outline that shape.
Because it's outlining.
Because it's the outside edges of whatever you have on screen. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add that. Here's my beautiful shield again. I just need that line. And now I need to make that just a little bit bigger. So we're going to, yeah, you mind?
Nope, I do not.
Doesn't need to be as big as we had. Just give it a little bump. Okay, so we have something now that is outside of our design and it's going to give us that shape. So when we hit this beautiful applique button now, my outside line is the shield. So that is what it's going to focus on, not the tree. And I can make it go right on top of that line. I forgot I have to keep bumping this. I want to hold it down and it just doesn't want to be friendly.
At home.
Shipment. All right, so I have moved that embroidery distance down to 0. So it's literally right on top of that line. So when I hit OK, I now have that satin stitch in the shape of that shield. And it's done all 3 of those steps for me. I don't have to go back, resize everything, and grab a second shield to add in those lines. So now I have my original piece, that line here, which you could actually skip if you chose to, and then the 3 applique steps. So I hope that helps. There are many, many things that you can do, and it's certainly a lot of fun and very easy once you actually know the secrets, which Sarah and I have lots of secrets. So all you have to do is tune in every Tuesday to learn one of them. So that is this week's Secrets to Share.
Yay. All right.
If anybody has any questions, please feel free to go ahead and type those in and we will try to answer those. So let's go back to base fabric. Do you have a favorite that you use?
Well, I like to use felt actually. I think it makes a really nice sturdy base. And if it's a patch, it doesn't have, like, I am a fabric snob. Some of you may already know this, right? So, but I'm not necessarily a felt snob because you can use craft felt that you get at Joann's or Hobby Lobby
for something
or
like
one
this.
For a patch. And they come in a variety of colors.
They do?
And thicknesses. So the thicker ones are the better ones. And
you don't want to be able to hold it up and see through it.
No.
That's not what you're looking for.
No, you do.
And you don't really want that for any fabric, whether it's felt or not. You want something that is heavy enough that it's going to look solid and be a
Mhm.
good patch. It doesn't necessarily have to be really heavy fabric. It has to have a fairly tight weave
Yep.
so that you have a nice build there from that.
But I oftentimes use felt as the base and then a fabric
Over
it.
top of it to make
So,
it pretty.
I do use a lot of white felt for that instance because you're not going to really see it through the fabric. But it does give a lot of substance to the whole,
Yes.
just the whole
Which you
patch
want it to
itself.
feel like there's something there. You don't want it really, really flimsy. So
Mhm.
it's certainly very good from there. I have used a lot of random things. Light battings if I have a lot that I just need to move, so I wanted to give it a little bit of oomph in there. I have used lots of things. Felt is really great though. I certainly have used that many times. It's just a matter of what do you want that end game. One thing to keep in mind, I know I mentioned it very, very briefly, but your outside satin stitch, you want to match your bobbin to your top thread so that you get a beautiful outside satin stitch. You don't want to see the edge of your bobbin thread popping out and showing. So save the battery, Sarah.
Save the battery, right?
It's like we should make a shirt. Not save the whales, save the batteries. Because Lord knows, it ate mine up when I did that a couple of times. So it certainly makes a very large difference. So that is really what we had. Whoa, don't do that. It didn't take it off. I guess we can't do that.
It's really weird. It says like it's still
It's
in
not
the
there.
stream.
So she went to turn off her phone, which is what we used for the screenshot, and she unplugged the headphone piece that we used so there would be no echoing, and it started echoing.
It did,
even though we turned it off. So very
Kathy
interesting.
says maybe I missed this. What is the material you use to adhere the patch to whatever you were adhering it to?
Stuff.
Fusion Seal. This is a permanent fusible, it's like a fusible web, really.
It is.
Double-sided fusible that creates a permanent bond.
So there is also, this is OESD's, there is also a patch making kit that we can get from Diamond. It has a water soluble, which is like the Badge Master. It's that heavy, kind of plastic looking water soluble. And then there's the adhesive portion that you get the 2 rolls literally in a bundle. I think this is a better price point. That was kind of one of the things that we looked at. For years, we have had press and bond, that's what it's called, from Floriani here. And we used to be able to get the sheets, and they changed the packaging. So now it's just on the roll. And it's like, well, I don't know that I need that much. So this is a really nice, less expensive way to go and still get that really nice quality seal in the product. So
that's what she was just talking about, Kathy.
So Kathy, it is called Press and Bond. I certainly can still order it for you if that's what you would prefer. It comes in a roll. I want to say it's a 15, maybe it's a 12. It seems like it's a little longer than the 12s, but by a few yards, and it's like 45.
It's relatively
It's like $45 or something for the roll. So equal qualities, at least, if not, I haven't compared the two, but they are both a permanent fuse. So, wash it, whatever, wear it, the whole shebang. It is a permanent fuse for all 3 products, actually. So this is just a really nice, because it's the sheets. So it's nice and flat. It's easy to work with. You can actually cut them if you have a scanning cut to the size that you need to press on to the back and whatnot. So it's actually really nice. There's no curl that you're fighting with and things like that. So you think you have it? Yes, quite possibly. You have a lot of things, I'm sure. So hello, Miss Lisa. So hopefully that answered some questions for you guys. We certainly love it when you guys ask the questions, and then we know what you guys are interested in learning and things like that. So if there's some other topics that you would like us to cover, please, by all means, please feel free to give us a shout through email or even in the comments and let us know what kinds of things you'd like to do. Otherwise, we'll come up with something, but you might not want it. So, input is always nice and helpful. So
yeah, we did get the other 2 a couple weeks ago. We talked about the baking fabric.
We did get those in along with her big old bolt that she's taking home.
Minnie Mouse fleece.
So I was just saying, who is that Minnie Mouse fleece for?
It's for the cat.
So she says, I am pretty sure she's going to make like a coat that she wears in here.
Wouldn't that be great? If I actually made clothes, I would totally make a jacket.
I have a pattern that would be perfect for that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You want to make one for me?
Maybe.
Maybe.
We'll see.
What can I make for you? We can swap.
Oh, 50 patches? No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. So I did get some things done. I know that you didn't sew much this weekend,
didn't.
trying to baby your
trying to
arm,
baby this
trying to
stupid
keep
wrist.
it. So I did get a little bit of sewing done. I am halfway through the sewing portion of my parents' Christmas gift.
That's
So
super exciting.
I'm not going to say anything more than that, just in case Dad is still listening.
Mhm.
But at one point I thought, oh my God, how much have I bitten off here? Is this going to be too much? But I was able to get quite a bit done, and it just kind of was like,
It
it's
feels
just,
really good,
it
yeah.
does. It's, not having something literally hanging on and weighing you down. It's really a good feeling. And I think I worked out a system that they're, bulk doing,
Yeah.
some
Yeah, chain piecing it.
chaining
sense.
it in a way.
Yeah.
Yes. So absolutely. Do you put the sticky on after you make the patch? Yes, ma'am, you do. So it's a double-sided thing. You fuse it to the back, and then they would fuse it to, if you're giving it to someone for a fuse, they would peel off the backing paper and then fuse it the second
Yep.
time.
So it goes over all of the stitches and everything on the back. And,
Yep.
And you just fuse it
So,
to-
if your patch is like yay, so is your sticky piece. It's going to be the same piece, which is why I suggested, if you have a scan and cut, way easier, just whoosh, or your that's not a, what's word am I looking? Shield. That's the word. It's a shield. Swear, if I try really hard, I can talk.
some days are worse than others.
So hopefully that answered all of those questions that y'all had. We do have Miss Pam. You asked us to get you a craft piece. I'm putting together the heat gun thingy. In order for Floriani, I have minimum, so I'm like literally trying to figure out exactly what to get from them. So hopefully I will have that very soon for you. Miss Pam will let you know as soon as that comes in. And I am glad to hear that the other thing we talked about was taken care of. So Sarah did tell me that you called and said that. So that's awesome. Anything else?
I don't think so. It's been a pretty quiet weekend. Have you decorated yet?
You're adorable.
Right?
It's been a quiet weekend. She hasn't been here since last Wednesday at like 2:45.
I left at 3:30.
Mm-hmm.
I did.
Okay.
I can pull up the text on here to prove it.
Just messing with you.
That's how I
It's been a
know.
quiet weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I
Okay.
meant like sewing wise. Like it didn't do much. I decorated for Christmas. We put Christmas
My
decorations up.
outside is very beautifully decorated. I have inflatable Rama outside of my house. I had a nice surprise. One of the nice 60-day weathers, that 60-degree day weather that we had last week. I came home and my husband and my son had put out all the inflatables. We have steps up onto the front porch, and there's like a dormer right over there, and we have this massive inflatable Ark Santa. So I don't know if I think it's supposed to be like his arms, and one side's holding like a stocking, and it's got stuff coming out of it, and his mustache does this, and he's this massive inflatable. So you have to go under Santa to get in our front door. But he bought a helicopter this year, so we have a helicopter on the front lawn, as well as our very, very large snowman family, and Santa coming out of a chimney, and the reindeer, and then we have the twinkle lights in like the stakes.
Yeah.
So we have Christmas tree lights, and we have like peppermint. I think those would be safe for you to be by. Probably the only kind of mint, but the little peppermint ones, and there's something else I'm missing. But we have these candy canes all along the sidewalk up. So yes, we had to take a picture. Okay, I will absolutely take a picture.
We'll post it on Facebook.
And I will post it on Facebook. Last year, it wasn't probably last year. The first year we got all of them. It was absolutely insane when I pulled in the driveway. I like sat in the driveway with video because it was just like, holy crap, that's my house. I felt like the Griswolds or the whatever that have like everything. I feel like we should totally be in some contest. We would totally win. So the next day they put up the icicles. So the inside of the house is not decorated yet, but
I wish we decorated our outside.
next week,
Yeah.
I will probably get some of that done. So
We decided not to put up a Christmas tree. Last year was Felix's first Christmas, and that was it is
The baby
our cat,
kitty,
is the baby
yes.
kitty. And he killed himself twice. I came in and he was like stuck in the tree, like with thing,
The lights.
the lights
Yeah.
wrapped around him. So I'm grateful that it could have been so much worse. This year, I said to Dave, I'm like, I just don't think it's worth it. He's still in that.
Got to look at
climb up.
everything and check it all out.
And I'm not really sure how the new cat would do. You know, she was an outdoor cat before, so she hasn't really been climbing on anything at the house. But I mean, I could just picture her like hanging out inside the tree. After it falls down and it's laying on the floor. So
we have a footstool that's one of the big square, like 4 squares, you know, footstool. And we have a piece of plywood my husband built and secured that we put on top of that, so it's completely flat surface, and that's what we put the tree on. So it's
elevated,
you know, a chunk.
Yeah.
Not very much. Off the floor. And then last year we bought a bigger tree. So we really had to get the ladder out to get on the top because it, you know, used to be able, one of us could hold one of us on the platform and we could put the angel on. Can't do that.
Doesn't work anymore.
Definitely need the ladder. So I wasn't really sure how Ollie, our puppy, he's like 2, but he's still a puppy.
Yeah.
Totally wants to play all the time. And we were a little concerned that, you know, he would try to jump because he can really jump.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Gotta love the puppy.
I was looking at those upside down trees. Have you seen them? Because I thought maybe that one would work. He wouldn't be able to get up too. So
I don't know, but yeah, we'll get there.
Yeah.
Samantha comes home on, my oldest, comes home on the 18th. So part of me wants to wait. It's just more fun. It's just more fun.
Her being home, right?
No, she came home last year as well, but she had more time last year. Actually, she came home on the 17th last year, but she was able to stay a little bit longer. So we had that, but we did wait. I think, did we wait? I don't remember. That's a year ago. I can't remember last week. I mean, come on.
For breakfast.
So I did not have breakfast. That's the problem. Oh, I had a muffin. Oh, I had a muffin.
Good.
Hayden was a very big sweetheart today. He brought us chocolate muffins. So yes, Tony and I split one. They're huge.
They're huge. I didn't have one.
So Tony and I split one. So I hope you all enjoyed the little lesson today on applique and patches and the like. If you have any future questions, just give us a buzz or shoot us an email, and we're happy to answer if you missed something. Of course, this will be posted to Facebook and on the YouTube channel, so you can access the video again and watch that if you have some questions and want to follow along as you're doing that. That will work. And I don't know. I think that's about it.
Yeah.
So
thanks for watching, guys.
I'm glad you guys stopped in today, and we will see you in store or at least next week. Yeah. All right. Bye, guys.